in, brother. Come on in. Come on in, brother. Bless. Have a seat, brother. Have a seat. Ah, yes. Come on in, brother. Welcome. Bless. Have a seat right there. Hey. Brother, bless. Have a seat, brother. Welcome. Bless. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. You guys ready to make some money?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Ready to make some money?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's get to work. All right, man. You get your birth certificates, man. You get a bunch of money from that, man. You know what I'm saying? You get your bonds, tons of money, man. You know what I'm saying? You want to get flex, I guess you want to be good, man. You want to be flossing, get your fur coats on, right? You got this over here, right here. Just ignore all that right there. You know, over here, right here. This is what it's all about, man. It's all about the dollar signs. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the dollar signs. At the end of the day, it's all about the money.
So, SGK, how soon can I get my money after we do this?
I have 10 grandchildren, you know. I need lots of money.
Hey, since this is so foolproof, can I get an advance? I got some stuff to take care of. I need the money.
Hold up. Disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
2 weeks going on 3, I gave him a G. Said with these papers I could be sovereign and free like popes and King Henry. Sipping on Henny and pigs' faces, no matter the places. Travel rights, days and nights, cash in bonds on birth certs. Didn't tell me that birth is ERTH, bottomry benefits of instruments.
It's all about the money. Trust me, you go with this and you'll get the money. If you don't believe me, ask my student right here.
I'm pissed off, will break his wrists off. Dirty Moors got me wanna cut lips off and teeth chipped off. Dirty thief using me to go through windows. Probably took my Fiat and bought Indo and Kush. Off the roof I would push.
SGK.
Yes, sir.
Justice, no love.
How come no withdrawal not on the board?
I see him, no reply from emails. He stopped tweeting, but he's giving details on trust and executive status. Dialing the number, got my fingers callous. Dirty Moor packets selling cheaters. Rob you with no conscience, cognizant, not sleepers. And well aware, that's motive local. Plus they changed the corporate name and logo.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
They still on the Fiat hustle and the bustle. Got cats in the bag like Ruffles, airtight. Use fair fright, martial law hype. If you
I'll give you 50% of kite. Alright, you know what? I'll tell them
not even get wise with the quickness, ability, quickly nimble, won't stumble or tremble. Finding out I got played like cymbals. Dirty Moor selling you your own Moorish symbols and crystals. No different than trees and reeds and toes missile. Drew Ali said study, so you don't get enslaved or played by your own buddy. Giving money to a gold digging dummy. State hopping dirty Moors, rob you out your dirty drawers. Souls perfect in fools' bodies. Setting up a PayPal style and broad. Those types don't even know what's coming. Cause when I see them, it's expose time, no running, no gunning. I was told get wise. Dirty people giving weasel evil eyes. Picking up the cell to call. I get nervous cause I know what's up after I heard this.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
You gotta dish out.
Oh, this is yours? This is all yours?
For sure. Who else is it?
Keep coding.
Jeez. I need to get me some of that right now, man. Yo, SGK, hook me up.
Bro, I got all this first day. I'm just saying, not first day today, but next day.
Islam. Welcome to Moorish Heritage and History School. Eyes Wide Open. Principles of Nationality in Action broadcast. I am Sister RVBey. How are you this evening? And I think Sister N.E. may be joining us a little bit later, if possible. However, we do have with us this evening Miss Raheem Al-Afil. How are you?
Peace and love. All is well. All is well. Peace and love to everybody. Hopefully,
right.
Peace and love to planet, everybody. Hopefully, Anna E does get back on in a minute.
Yeah. She's finalizing her affairs. She's finalizing her affairs. It's a great way of putting it. As we all must do, handle our affairs, which is something we want to talk a little bit about that. And we also, but I got to join in Cujo. Let me see. Here he is. Let's see. Hold on a moment, Cujo. All right. You are now technically, officially live on the air. How are you?
Islam. Peace and love. I am well. Everything's aligned. No complaints.
No complaints.
Really. Peace and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't put the syllabus in time, but matters not. We're going to have some discussions about some current affairs, freestyling it is things that we really, Did you say
no,
something?
I'm just laughing when you said current affairs.
Oh, well, everything is current. You know what I mean? The current is flowing, that's for sure. What current is flowing through the people, I'm not really sure. However, I want to discuss a few things that that we see, when we have tried to get your pulse on, your hand on the pulse of the minds of the people as to what's going on. And, a lot's going on, of course. But there's a lot of, let's see, how would I put this? I've had a few conversations all week. I've had a few today. What's going on? People are misunderstanding what government is. They're asking questions like, for instance, they said, "Oh, where's our government? Government is the people, and as we know, you have to know the difference between corporation and the liberties and rights of the natural people. Know the difference between someone who is a mayor or a governor. That's all corporate stuff, right? However, they talk about where's our army. I'm just going to put this out here, and all that. Well, I would say to you that if you don't know and if you don't exercise, which is covered in Bill of Rights 2, by the way, your own right to protect yourself, your family, your block, your community. Don't talk to me about where's your army. Not that I'm saying you need one, because those are really to protect self territories. It had nothing to do with the natural people in terms of their quote unquote fleets and armies and standing armies that they had to protect their corporation. You, the people, won't even protect yourself, your block, your community, and you want to talk about where's your army? I mean, please, really, not going to happen like that. Now, these other people who you think are government and have these things, they're going down the tube. Don't you see that? But, and they're operating on your ancestral estate, and I wanted to do something with that. But you know what? We've done that so many times. It's like it's on the site and everything. The other thing is there was this thing about why doesn't RVBey help people who are in plight? Excuse me, RVBey Publications is a publication company. They do not take membership. It is not an MSP of A. It's not a 501c, and mainly doesn't take membership, but inspires you to handle yourself and your affairs by having law in you on your dial plate so that you can dial it up and keep people, corporations that you think are government, from molesting you, which is the same instructions as the profit gave. We are a publication company. We do what we can, and we've helped a lot of people in, gaining, or at least going towards the direction of gaining knowledge so that they can handle themselves. So again, it goes back to the same thing. If you're not going to take the time to do a little bit of research, I'm not even going to use the word study because it seems like a bad word, but do a little research on protecting your own liberties and your own rights, why do you think someone else will or can? They can assist you. They can build with you, but you got to, at minimum, be on the same daggone path. in the same direction with the same fundamentals. Now, we know fundamental principles. We know that we've been miseducated, misguided, misleaded, but education is really from within. It truly is. And you can't really give that to someone else. They have to attain it for themselves. I was just reading something. If you read Khalil Gibran's On Knowledge Stack, I thought I had it in front of me. It's the same thing is said there as well as is said by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? If you're the only one, just be the only one. Now, the other thing is someone had sent to me, and they said that what Prophet Noble Drew Ali set up was for you to become, once you claim your nationality, a subject, Noble Drew Ali. And I say, nay, that is exactly ridiculous. What you become subject to, this is how you know that these people that are dealing with you are dealing with clubs, all right? Clubs and clubism instead of national principles. When you join in the MHHS, you do become subject to the bylaws of that association as you would if you joined any association. If you choose to join an association, you look at their bylaws, right? And you then become subject to them. But to become subject to Prophet Noble Drew Ali when he told you he's universal and told you to enforce the national constitution, all right, which is his instruction. The entire MSTFA is there to let me say this. If you were to become a member and you subject yourself to the bylaws, that's a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Because if you subject yourself to them bylaws, it is teaching you how to take your place amongst the affairs of man and link yourself back to the family of nations. That's the whole thing. So it's a good thing. But outside of that, no, because you are, when you read the Red Book, which is the Secret Teachings of the Brotherhood of the East, you must become. The time now is for men to become, quote unquote, priests amongst themselves. You have to have this knowledge. Now, others are feeling this sensation of feeling really bad about the people who are going up and getting slammed in these venues that are not court. And they feel bad because you can feel bad for them, or I guess that's the right phrase, feeling bad. But it's only because of our lack of the united knowledge and information that is just simply fundamental stuff, all right? And a lot of time is being spent in learning things that are not those things that are going to help you to take care of your affairs. It's not going to do that. And I don't want to get into, I wanted to get into possibly reading a writ that I had pulled out and had read. It's all strictly constitutional. Some of you out there already know you write your own or whatever like that, you know what to do. But I want to get into something else. And I think, Cujo, you might want to add, might have some information to share where it is concerned. Not too long ago, we talked about this group called the USAR. Now, this group, and I'm not going to use any names. I think it was, no, I am going to use, so that we know. Well, actually, USAR, that's close enough. That's good enough. That's what they call themselves. And they identify as the newly established republic. Now, I say to you, none of this information, none of your position is to start a new, quote-unquote, republic and or government or whatever like that. Other than the government starts with family. If you're not starting it at home, then, and if you don't understand that that's where it starts at, with family, and so does the authority to govern, same place, right? Same place. And Miss, you might want to throw in that, hold tight to that definition you had showed me the other day. However, so now people are talking about, let's start a newly established republic. It's all bullcrap. Trust and believe. Because it's already here. This is our government. Period. This is operations on our ancestral estate. The Constitution is to be enforced. The Bill of Rights are for the people. The articles are for the corporation. Simple. Simple. And if that's not understood, then it doesn't matter what you start, because it's not, and you can't really start a new government, like really. So everybody's jumping ship from wherever they thought their train of learning learning was, and they're going over to be a part of this, or they're going over to do the processes of commercial processes and redemptions of birth certificates and all that kind of craziness. And they let you come in like open the floodgates and bring them in. Whoever is leading that stuff, bring them in. Bring all the Moors into this, so we can cut their heads off later. And that's how they see this. So this particular USAR, it's a few things, but that particular one, it's like craziness. It's like, how are you going to start a new republic? Really? There's no need for you to start anything to enforce what's already here. It's solid. It's very solid if you would apply it. Now, Cujo, I don't know. I didn't really ask you about this, but you may have a comment on that, or you don't want to comment on it right now.
Well, just the usual, that as soon
Same old story.
As soon as you start getting into people claiming that they're presidents of stuff and they're using these titles of nobility that they're not supposed to be able to grant if they call themselves United States of America Republic or whatever, clearly they're a fraud.
Clearly.
Because the fraud people don't even grant titles of nobility.
How about that? Mm-hmm.
The fraud people who say they're United States or whatever, they don't even play titles of nobility like that. It's already established titles that they adopted.
Mm-hmm.
But these people are some new, just like we say with the products. If somebody comes with you with a product, beautiful package, what I mean, shrink wrap and all that stuff, and they're talking about new and improved, they're playing you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can't be new and improved at the same time. They can't be the new United States of America Republic when there's United States of America Republic going on right now with some Europeans. Like, did they check their name before they went and got a name? Like, go just do your research online and see how many Europeans call themselves United States of America Republic.
Exactly.
And if they're the legitimate, how come other people have their stuff? Like, find me someone else around here talking about their Canaan land Moors. Find me somebody.
Right. Well, even with that, when you go to the Constitution, let me just interject this. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America, which means they can execute law but not make any law. Are they? So this newly formed United States of America Republic, USAR, are they taking the place of the already existing republic that never went anywhere? And if so, are they executing law? Well, good, because if they're executing the law, we would be great, because that's all that we can do. That's all that can be done. Not making any new laws. But what they're doing is really like a club, and everybody's getting titles. But wait a minute. You're right. No title of nobility shall be granted. So if the people would read the 7 and 10, all right, organic Constitution, and enforce it as they were also directed to do, they would recognize, Cujo, when things are a fraud.
Yeah, take this into consideration too. Let's just throw Noble Drawley in just for kicks. If Noble Drawley said don't even carry a pocket knife, how you listen to somebody named Cannon?
Right.
Like, these people are violating the Prophet on supreme levels. The head of this whatever is going to call himself Cannon. But Drew Ali told Moors, don't even carry a pocket knife. Were you carrying cannons around? You think you're not violating the Prophet? Basic levels like that are violation. Forget about Kudrow said ass and stuff like that. No, there's a profanity. You can't say that. No, what Drew Ali said, don't say that. No, forget about that stuff. You guys been supposed to got cussed out. This is backlog of cuss out that you guys were supposed to get that you're getting right now. This is cuss out that people are supposed to get because they listen to that BS about, no, don't say profanities or whatever. Drew Ali said, don't do that. But them not having a paper is not a violation. But them not reading letters that Noble Drew Ali said to read every meeting, that's not a violation. You know, them telling people go get licenses and pay taxes to IRS and stuff like that, that's not a violation. But, oh yeah, but we say shit, and that's a violation. and then people get caught up in that. But then you have people out here straight violating divine constitution and bylaws, telling lies on their brother and stuff like that, that they got people killed and all that. But those people aren't violating the Prophet, though. And remember, those same people talking BS are in Moorish Science Temple of America, and they have an obligation to those bylaws.
Wow.
Right.
They misunderstood something, that's for sure.
The so-called not in the temple Moors, we're not obligated to divine constitution and bylaws. Those people who claim that they're Moorish Science Temple of America are, and they're even violating that, telling lies on their brother. Right? You know, Acts 7. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and then they're naturalizing people, but they're not violating.
Right.
We're the violators, but those people aren't violating. Those people, they've been around for 80 years, and they got, you know, certificates from mayors, and they got to talk on the steps of the great old building of the Moorish whatever. But you're not recognizing that they're violating the things right in front of your face. They got some nerve to talk about somebody's not doing what they're supposed to do, or somebody's not teaching Noble Drew Ali's whatever, when these people aren't even enforcing the Constitution. They're enforcing Heard's revised statute.
Wow. I know. I saw that, man. That's because I'm not even sure what the heck.
They're enforcing home rule. That's how they talk. Oh, yeah, we have home rule because we're Moorish Science Temple, and those guys don't have home rule because they're not part of the filing in the whatever. We're filing in whatever what. What's indigenous people filing stuff in some corporate whatever for? And if that was done, trust me that it wasn't corporate activity why that was done.
Right.
It wasn't corporate in the sense of how people's mindset. Oh, Noble Drew Ali said religious corporation, so you know we're gonna go with the perspective of 2017 religious corporation, not 1928 religious corporation.
Right. Exactly.
Because just like with the dictionaries, you know, the later versions suck. Just like Moorish Science Temple of America, the later versions suck. The later versions are more tainted than the original versions.
Right. Exactly. They misunderstand that completely. Absolutely. And that it doesn't have anything to do with any 501c corporation, which is really under the Christian government. you know, that they don't realize is a religion, is religious, is a government also, and it's not for you. That's for their earthly salvation, not yours. They don't. There's not enough study that's going on, so they just waking up now. So they say, okay, let me go look up what corporation is, and they don't get it at all. Now, other thing going where people are doing what they call status correction. Now, I want everybody to get this. It's called status correction. People are having you pay whatever it is for a little packet of status correction. Now, I just heard you say, Cujo, that the prophet said in Acts 7 to claim your nationality. Not to nationalize, as you said, right? But to claim your nationality. So now, people are talking about status packages. Correct your status. Correct your status. We've seen people sell status packages for years. I'm surprised that it's still going that way. And this one guy did that little video and slid in and talked about the MST of A's and had everybody's interested, and he slid in that we were MST of A, RVBey publications, and we're not. But, you know, and so then we find out that this same guy is selling status packages. So he did that dirty, low-down, deceitful, fraudulent lie stuff to get the interest of the people who obviously aren't studying at all either. So it's not really totally his fault. This is what people do. He did all of that to get people to come over to whatever he was doing, and you find that what he's doing is selling status packages, right? And since Moors know their L's and Bays, I guess he's throwing the L and Bay, but he himself does not have the L and Bay. He hasn't had time to do that. Well, first of all, people, you are who you are by birthright and bloodline, whether you write it or not, or put it forth or proclaim it or not, because that proclaiming means that it's something written. Claiming it, you can do yourself, or declaring it, or whatever. And it's by blood. It's not by whether you're in a club, not in the club, whether you're in the group, not in the group, whether you got a status package or not. If you have to, you know, people ask all the time, well, now that I've proclaimed my nationality, what do I do now? Like, and I tell them, well, start being who it is you say you are. So just for a second here, if you got people selling you status packages, don't you think that it would be wise to know what status is, so that you can be clear as to what you are getting into? Status is the standing, the state, or the condition, a social position. It is your legal relationship to the rest of the community, right? It relates to your rights, your duties, capacities, and your incapacities, which determine a person to a given class. It is the legal, personal relationship. However, it is not temporary in its nature, nor can you terminate it at the mere will of anyone. It's not terminable at the mere will of parties such as third persons and the state where they are concerned. So it has nothing to do with any of that. It implies, while it does imply your relationship, know this, it is not a mere relation. Now, I'm reading this right out of the dictionary, because it also means estate. It also signifies the condition or circumstances in which one stands in regard to property. So, I don't know what is being said in these quote-unquote status packages, but who can tell you what your relationship is to the community except you? That's why you claim it, and then proclaim it is to put it in written form. Nobody can do that but you. And if I may add, if you are not aware of what your status is, which is your relationship to the community, and it's not a mere relationship, but it's a legal one, and it deals with your estate, which is your ancestral Moors, then what will happen to you is you will get escheated. And I know you've heard this word before. It's been going around for forever. Escheated. Because you do not know. All right? What does that mean? Have you ever really looked it up? Because if you did, you would realize that's what's happening. Escheat is an aspect, first of all, which is derived of feudal law. Now, before I finish reading it, because normally I would read that and then go check out what feudal law is, but I'm going to tell you what feudal law is before I continue so that you will know. Feudal pertains to feuds and fees. It's relating to and growing out of course, the feudal system or from feudal law. It has its origins amongst European-styled government, period. All right, so with that in line, if you do not know what your status is, which is your relationship to the community and your legal relationship, because that's what it is, it's not just a relationship, it's a legal, which means lawful, all right, relationship. It is not terminable. Nobody can terminate it, all right? And if you do not know what that is yourself, then you will get escheated. Escheated is an aspect derived of feudal law, that means European-style government, that portends the falling back or the reversion of your land or properties upon the failure, hear this out, upon the failure of the heirs capable of their own inheritance. So that means if you don't really know what your status is, you will be escheated because you are incapable of being in a position of inheritance. And check this out. Upon the failure of heirs that are capable of inheritance under the original grant. So for all those who are out there talking about, I'm the grantor. No, you are not. You are not a grantor. It was already granted to you by your ancestors. So when the definition clearly says cheating is something that is a foreign government style, all right? Right? And everything reverts back to them, because you're incapable of inheritance, right? It is continued with the definition, it is the condition where the state makes a claim of your stuff, of your land, and of your inheritances, whereas those heirs to the said estate or inheritance are incapable and incompetent, or have any other condition that creates or claims them to constitute for themselves a condition called, or a state called, state of mind, non-descendability. But you going out, get a status package so that you can claim your estate, and you don't know what that really means? You're being played. Because if you don't know what this really means, then how can you stand in it? And it tells you right there. We escheat because your behinds aren't capable of inheritance. There's something wrong with you that creates a state of non-descendability. Now, one of the things that's wrong that creates a state of non-descendability is the fact that you can't be a Negro, colored, or black. Well, we know that. That's what this whole mission is about. See, because that puts you in an immediate position where you're non-descendable to your own ancestral estate, so you're going to get escheated from it because you don't know what your own status, meaning relationship to the community, legal, lawful relationship to the community is. You don't know that, so you're escheatable. You're in a position to be escheated because you're not capable of it. And we continue to not be because we just won't, like even what I just read. And we say, oh, ancestral estate. The prophet said you'll gain back your heritage and your lost estate in a conflict that cannot be told in words. So then you look up ancestral. It's one damn line. It says relating to ancestors or what has been done by them. Simple, not complicated. Ancestral estate, such as is transmitted by descent, not by purchase. But you won't stand in that, which can't be trumped by anyone on this planet, period. Can't be trumped. But you're going out and buying status packages because you don't understand your own position, your own lawful legal condition or relationship to the rest of the community. And so who is in the rest of the community? I don't know. There's some other citizens up in there. And so the law of the land is established to keep those quote-unquote other citizens, which means corporations, because they're subject. Corporations are subject citizens. How about that? Did you know that? They're up in the community to keep them from molesting you and from bestowing all types of, things that they would like to bestow upon you. That's why you enforce the Constitution based from your status. Now, right there, that's simplistic. You don't need anyone to give. They can't give that to you, but you can claim it because you have to make that claim or proclaim. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, teaching you the things that will allow you to take your place amongst the affairs of man and link yourself back up to the family of nations. Already done. But you're buying status packages. Islam, I yield. I have nothing else to say behind that.
Peace and love.
Islam. And just for the record, the judicial proclamation is not a status correction package, or is the name correction.
True.
Just to put that out there. Before people start tripping.
Yeah. All right. Let me make that clear. Yes. Let me interject that. And the same thing goes because I had a phone call from someone that said, "Thanks for bringing that up. I'm on the phone and these people aren't recognizing at a so-called court, the name correction and judicial notice and proclamation." I said that's not where that's for. That's not what that's for. That's a lawful notice. It doesn't matter. They don't need to recognize it. What you need to do when you're dealing with the claim that these alleged claim that these people putting on you or trying to put on you is how to respond to it with law. You know? So that's not what it's for. So the judicial notice and proclamation is a lawful notice. What does that mean? It means a notice, a lawful notice, and law is notice and intent. So therefore, it is not there to determine, for someone to determine whether or not they're going to accept it. It's not there for you to sit there and say, well, they're not accepted. You could care less. For the record, on the record, this is what you've done. Now, notice to the principals, notice to the agent. You ain't even got to send that shit to them. You just have to be who you say you are, which is imbued within the words of that document. And that's why we tell people, read it first. It's not a permission document. It's a proclamation. It is a judicial notice. But see, they know that we don't know law. So when you come to them with commerce, they play law. When you come to them half-butt with law, they play commerce. They're playing games. Because if you knew, you wouldn't come to them about your rights and liberties based in commerce. But they know you don't know that. So you get played. But, thanks. I make that real clear. Proclamation, the judicial notice is not a status package. It's not a status package. It's a lawful notice. Islam.
Peace and love. Yeah. So that's definitely imperative and important to point out But I just wanted to take it back a little bit because you, in the beginning, you was mentioning about people looking for a quote-unquote army. And if I'm not mistaken, Noble Drew Ali said that if these principles he was laying out in the divine warning were not carried out, that the worst would be yet to come. He did say that.
Yes.
And he did say that. So we about 100 years later, and, you know, it is what it is. But I say this in correlation, like the Second Amendment does guarantee the right to bear arms, but it also mentions a well-regulated militia. Like, you know, I'm not just saying, that's what the text says. And I don't know if that aspect of the Constitution has been enforced on a massive level. I know the Europeans be on it. You've seen what happened with the Bundys, even though some of them got off, some of them are still fighting that case. But, you know, they back out, and I'm not saying anybody should do this. I'm just saying check it out. You know, they back those people up off of them, you know, at least in that moment with standing on their right to bear arms and not letting a de facto institution, you know, tax them for cows that they were tending and things like that. So, I mean, if you look at it, that's an aspect of the Constitution that it already is covered. And I just found, again, it very interesting, going back to the beginning of the broadcast, when you were mentioning about current events. Because currently, like, as of recent as today, right, Trump, right, because, you know, on the note of Army military, like, people got to realize that, like, he's wearing two hats. Like, he's actually a commander-in-chief of a military, and then publicly he plays the role of president. But that's what it is. He has two titles, commander-in-chief, president, you know what I'm saying? And one of his lawyers, shall I say, was arguing jurisdiction in the quote-unquote state court because somebody had sued him for defamation, and they sued him in the state court. His lawyer's whole argument is jurisdiction. They're like, you don't even have jurisdiction, period. So the matter is saying, yeah, Trump's quote-unquote lawyers or attorneys, hold up. It's a case with somebody named Summer Zervos, a former contestant on Trump's reality show, The Apprentice, right? So she's suing him in the quote-unquote, what is it, New York State court. A judge, you know, the judge is in New York, excuse me, not in New York, but working for the corporation New York State or State of New York. And that's the whole argument of Trump's attorneys is jurisdiction. And the judge is saying, look, I got jurisdiction. I have jurisdiction, you know, because there's no precedented case. Like, this is the craziest presidential term that I've been living through. I'll say that because the magistrate is saying, like, look, there's no case that's precedented that we don't have jurisdiction over a president when he's acting outside of his presidential duties. That's what the state court is saying to Trump's lawyers. So they're like, no, they're in a jurisdictional argument. And, you know, I just found that interesting. And using the Constitution to make the jurisdictional argument claim. And I'm like, wow, that's funny because, you know, I know a lot of people, just the people also make that argument based off of the Constitution. You know, Article 3, Section 1, you see so-called state judges overreaching their jurisdiction or exercising authority outside of their jurisdiction, if they even have it at all. You know, because like you said, you got those who are feeding into the aspect of being United States and state citizens and all of that. So they don't even make the jurisdictional argument. They don't even do that. But, you know, that's what's going on with that particular situation. I was like, wow. And the so-called NAACP told Trump not to attend the opening of the Civil Rights Museum in Mississippi, so-called Mississippi. They're like, we don't want him to attend. Don't come. Yeah, this is what's happening. And on top of that, last week, his man pled guilty and is promising to cooperate with the federales and whatnot. So, you know, it's crazy because I don't know how this is all going to play out, you know, unless they actually convict him, because even so, Trump has the quote-unquote power to pardon. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's just crazy all around the board. But one thing that was bugging me out was going back to what you were saying about creating a new aspect of the United States of America. It kind of reminded me of what Noble Drew Ali was saying about those who cling to the principles that, the names and the principles that delude to slavery, right? So, I mean, I know the Constitution to be American Constitution. I know America is a way larger jurisdiction than the U.S.A. And to still, for Moors to be trying to come under that is sickening. Also, again, it reminded me last week when we was talking about those who are trying to fade Canaan land Moors and whatnot. When you really think about it, like Noble Drew Ali, like when he established the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but I think that a lot of people, and it's sad again, because they lack the understanding of geography, they don't understand how important of America is, because he didn't erect a Moorish Science Temple of the United States. He did not do that. He erected the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is way broader than what they're talking about is U.S.A. or United States. Okay, so let's be clear on the jurisdiction for real. You know, so when you see them trying to, circumscribe the territory of where quote-unquote temples can officially operate on, just pull up the map. Pull up the map of the Western Hemisphere and show, look, America is north, south, central. What you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Straight up. And if you can't understand that, then you don't need to be teaching, because that's 3rd, 4th, 5th grade geometry. You know, like that's what it is. I mean, geometry or geography. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But so that was something I was thinking of. And when you was mentioning taxes, it was like I was just breezing through the dictionary and came across slavery. Now, we know the slaves are Slavics. We also know what, it is. But to sum it up, this is how they say it in the Black's Law. It says slavery is the condition of a slave, the civil relation. So the civil relation in which one man has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. But it says a civil relation, and I'm like, damn. So how do you get slavery into civics? Like, you know what I mean? I think that the slave was barred from all of that, But nonetheless, it's crazy because I would say that falls under color of law, right? But the way they just, when one man has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another, thought like, damn, you see that happening, from quote unquote taxes to, right to travel. People, these quasi governments assert themselves on all levels of people's lives, fortunes, and just liberty altogether, But one thing that always keeps me grounded is that the law of nature is superior in obligation to any other. So I just want to read from John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law. the definition of law of nature. I'm going to read an excerpt out of here. And it says, every animated being is impelled by nature to his own preservation. And I just wanted to point out, when you was talking about people like, why RVBey don't do this for other people, right? Like, the information that's made available is help. You know, on the other hand, the self-responsibility of yourself comes under the law of nature, where it says every animated being is impelled by nature to his own preservation, to defend his life and body from injuries, to shun what may be hurtful, and to provide all things requisite to his existence. Hence the duty to watch over his own preservation. Suicide and dueling are therefore contrary to this law, and a man cannot mutilate himself nor renounce his liberty. And I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? You can't even renounce your liberty if you wanted to. That's what the law of nature is saying, you know? So it's like the law of nature being immutable, them dealing with codes and numbers and statutes and everything like that are always subject to change. You know, you can't really rest your hat on that, so to say. But the law of nature is supreme. So, you know, when you look at it from that perspective, you know, the law of nature, liberties, and then you realize that there's so much that's enveloped with nature, even the land itself, right? So you make the distinction between the law of nature and corporate artificial law, which is where the U.S. comes in, you know, or USA. That's all artificial, because in law you have natural persons and artificial persons, as you were mentioning about the corporation and how the 14th Amendment, you know, as that word is used, as the word person is used in that first clause, you know, is referring to corporations. So again, when you're talking natural law, the law of nature, it applies on so many different levels. But one thing to understand too is that naturalization is a whole different process. That has nothing to do with the law of nature. So this is why all law is specific, and they've been playing people with that. Oh, we're gonna naturalize you. You know, they just hit you with the artificial person degree, hit you with the natural person degree, and then say we're gonna naturalize you without informing you all about nationality. That's where, you know, it can get tricky at for some people who haven't studied. You know, correcting your status, mental status is first and foremost. You know, man is mind. You have to know yourself, you know, and then you can be yourself. That is how Noble Dry Leaf began to uplift us, as has been said. So I would say that, you know, just don't fall for anything contrary to the language of natural law or the law of nature. So when you talk about a place, make sure it's not an artificially place, because I recall again when we were in the museum, this is all public record anyway, but you know, they called the United States the quote unquote forming of a new nation. And the United States is not a nationality. It is not, and has never been a bloodline. It has not. It is not. And Noble Dry Leaf was talking on the degrees of, you know, going back to that state of mind of your foremothers and forefathers, and naturally realizing the land itself doesn't really have borders except for what is inscribed on the map. And those are all recognized by pilgrims and subsequently by those who've been disinherited or escheated, like you said, because the only way to stop the escheat is for the heirs to be capable of inheriting. And with the brands, the slave badges, because remember, their whole thing was to mark you, you know, to brand you, so that you will be distinguishable as a free man or a free being or property. Like, that's what the appellation versus name denotes, you know. So they already know based off of the appellations where that's going. And they're practicing high degrees of subjection. master manipulators as far as the psychology. You know, they try every weak mind and everything like that. That's what they do. You know, because it's to the point where it's like, you know, yeah, we know we're in a situation where there's a certain people that, for specific reasons, want to see us, I would say, suppressed, but at the same time, I would say just want to keep an upper hand on us, you know, and it's important that we do not, you know, cling to the names and the principles that allude to that activity of them having us subjected in, you know, as cheating. Because people always take the conversation light, like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. You know, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. We know that. But again, as you pointed out, it's about what are we going to do? What are the people going to do? Or what are you as an individual going to do? Because it doesn't take, you know, it's not hard to see that there's a intent to ostracize. It's a real intent to ostracize us, you know, and you can feel it. So my thing is, even if, you know, we're being ostracized, or as an individual, you're being ostracized, you know what I mean, alienated, or it feels like that, remember that your rights are unalienable, birthrights, you know, and again, if you got to be the only one, hey, that's what it is. The law of nature says every man is impelled to his own preservation at the minimum. So, you know, when you got to be about that yourself. So that's what I would say to those who are like, why isn't anybody, forget whether it's RVBey or anybody, why aren't you looking out for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, the information is out there. You can't. And then if that was the case, there's so many people that, you know, have situations and you're like, come on, fam. You know, people still have things to do themselves. I don't know if reference points are enough. I don't think that you people who went to school, you know, caught problems in the real world and try to go back to get to school to get your teacher to help you with your real life problems. You know what I'm saying? Not that they didn't give you the information, but you don't do that. You have to be what you know. And if you're not being what you know, then what you think is going to happen. So, you know, it's all about you being a master of yourself, first and foremost, you know, and handling your affairs to the best of your ability. And that's not to say that you shouldn't get help, because, you know, people hit me up, I'll send them information, you know, and that's where I'm at with it now. Read this and then talk to me. You know what I'm saying? And then if you read this and you call me back like 5 minutes later, I know you didn't read it. You know, so it's just a lot to put on any group of people to take care of everybody's problems. You know, so that's how I see it. Get into the law of nature, yeah. Every living thing is connected to every other living thing, but at the same time, we have to be able to get the ball rolling on our own affairs. And that's what it is. That's how I see it. That's what I'm standing on.
Islam to that. So what is happening here is what D get posted up is that for the people to be able to call in if they had any questions. Is there anything else that you want to add, Cujo, to this wonderful discussion before we go to open line?
Oh no, it's pretty much clear. Everybody should be clear after that.
Well, yeah. I guess it's an indication, and I guess this is why the prophet said, wake up, sleepy-headed Moors, come out of the mental slavery. I have come to take you out of your mental slavery. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that, and I guess that I'm not really sure. I mean, everybody can make their own, experiences or whatever like that, or they can testify to whatever is going on with them or whatever have you. But it's like, it is what it is, but it's not being grasped because of the mental slavery, I think, that we've been in. It's like, look, we're in the Civil War. We've been in Moors, you've been in the Civil War. And when you hear that statement that they also have in the King Alfred where it says these are, what does it say? These are silent weapons for a quiet war, and, this is why the Prophet established a civic organization. You know what I mean? But so that we can, do things that are tend towards civilization and civilized people, and open up, come out of the sleep that we're in. I mean, people can talk about, well, they're doing this and they're doing. It's about what you're doing. It's about what we're doing. It's like, and we, in some ways, it's like, okay, there's nothing else to add. We're very excited. You know what I mean? Like. And it's like, all right, so what what else is there to say? Now, I do know that there are some of the people, especially of the younger generation, I have to give that acknowledgement, who have done just what the Prophet said. They come with their eyes open, and the only thing they need to do is just to focus in on, as you said, Miss, the laws of nature, self-preservation, enforcing the fact that they are the law manifested in the flesh. And when they do come in that fashion, there's always some charlatan trying to redirect, into some other stuff. You know what I mean?
That's something else. People be playing games because they soak up so much wisdom from Moors. Then just flip take the same blueprint and then just put some Indian on it. You know what I'm saying? And act like we talking about. And I'm like, yo, I'm disappointed in a couple of people. But I'm not mad. It's just I realize what it is. I think more. I don't know. As far as nations go, we probably have been the most challenged, or present day still have very big challenges. There's a lot that has to happen for everybody to get where they want to be, and unfortunately, the positive and negative, good and evil has always been around, whether it be from, our own, because again, as society starts with family, so does authority or government. But broken families is one issue to why, you're not seeing the quote unquote government you want to see in place, because look at our families, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So I don't know, but it's just as far as the international aspect of government, meaning the lineal descendants of pilgrims on this land right now, they're falling apart, but they're also acting out. They're acting out because this is it. They know that this is it. This is it. So, and it's crazy because, low, they are deporting a lot of people, and it's all based off of artificial citizenship. It's crazy. It gotta be to stop this. I mean, they just allow Trump. Huh?
Yeah. It's all based off of artificial citizenship in the first place that occurred that people participated in. It's artificial anyway. So that's why they can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you know what about it, though? You know what's so about it? It was pointed out, okay, if there was no Treaty of Peace and Friendship, there would be no Constitution, basically. There would be no American, there wasn't United States, really, recognized. You know what I mean? And
that's right.
In the parties in that treaty, it was heavy between Moors and Christians. And the Pope came in to the Western Hemisphere, Morocco, America, 2015. And what did he do? Like, off of who they know is their father, their substitute father, if you will, for God, right, on the earth plane. He called all of the United States officials, you know what I mean, distinguished guests or whatnot, to the Congress floor. Like, he had the power to do it. And when he did that, you know, he rarely speaks English like that, but when he did that, he managed to get out those words that, you know, they are all immigrants. Like, he said it, and everybody pointed it out, but really think about it. He did say that live on the Congress floor, you know? So it's like, with it even being public record, like on the Congress floor, the fact that they're still acting as if this is their home is an extreme arrogance, you know? It's an extreme arrogance and violation of law at that, you know? So, I don't know, man. Like, their father reminded them, like, look, y'all came from where I come from. Don't forget that, you know? Like, that's what he said.
He kind of he did the Pontius Pilate thing at that point, and then you still have people talking about let's go right to him. Yeah. So what you can do, people, is pull that speech that Liz is speaking about. Just go you know, YouTube it or whatever. And it's the speech that the Pope did on the Congress floor when he was here at the fall equinox of, was it 2016? Yeah, 2016. And then, and you just have to listen to it. In fact, we played it, or I think we played it on, we have it in our archives here, and we played some portions of it. It's just that because he's belabored to speak in the English dialect, you know, his accent is heavy, but I think that was purposeful so that they couldn't mess with what he said. So you go listen to it and you'll hear him say that and tell these people they're immigrants. And that's some powerful stuff. So I call that the Pontius Pilate washing his hands. And then, of course, with the Motu Propria 2012, 2014, and then 2016 coming on the floor. So don't be writing to him. He even gave it up. He gave up the ghost, because this is the time for you to take your place amongst the affairs of man. Link yourself back up to the family of nations, not to the municipalities, not to herd statutes, you know. And, you know, it's a very serious time. So we're in it, because it's going down. So keep your peace, you know. All right, so if anybody has any questions or comments, they can press 1 on the telephone dial, and we will take any questions or comments. I only see, wait a minute, I don't know if I see any so far. There's 1. Any questions or comments, press 1 on your telephone dial. Let's see what this one is right here. Not that familiar with these phone numbers yet. Let's see. All right. 267-229, you're live on the air. Do you have a question and or a comment? Two 267-229. Okay, they're not there. Let me X them out. 267. I gotta remember that. All right. So if there is any, okay, here we go. We have. Wait, won't be long tonight. 619-633. You're live on the air. You have a question and comment?
Islam. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can, sis.
Okay. I listen to you guys all the time. Brother Cujo, he says, he said it all, but I guess I'm one of those who really having a hard time understanding myself. I guess it's I'm on overload, information overload, and I want to jump, but I don't know where I want to jump to or if it's a good way to jump into it. So I was wondering if you can kind of help me out.
Well, what do you want to jump into? Your own skin? What?
Islam. Because I've been walking around in somebody else's. It's hard trying to fight what's ingrained in me. But it's like, I'm the type of learner that, because I wanted to go out and make my own ID and just start changing stuff.
Well, what is your ID have to do? Go ahead.
Right now, I'm trying to find some way to support myself. So I wanted to start off, I guess, with public assistance because if I have to prove myself to anybody, I take that back. If I have to make anyone understand because I overstand who I am, but for them to understand who I am, then I think I can work it out anywhere. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. What you're like saying, well, if I could just get them to understand who I am. And no, it's you who have to have understanding, and stand under who you are first and foremost. Not you get them to do that. You have to. And that's very interesting because if you can't do that for yourself, there's no way you can convince, and I'm going to use the word convince, or demonstrate to anyone else that you are who you are if you can't do it to yourself. What you are and who you are emanates from you when you walk in the room, when you speak, when you do, when you say, whatever you do. You can only be what you know, That's who you are, right? So, no, you have to get it first. Then everything else is secondary.
So I know who I am.
Okay, so then all you have to do is be who you are.
Should I just be me? You make it sound so easy.
I make it sound easy, and in the end, it is so easy. Believe that or not. As you go down that road, you'll say that later. But it sounds so easy because it is. But I just want to make sure it's clear with you that you have to know you got to know yourself first. There's no way. And that's part of, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up because that's part of, it's really a part of what I would call some emotionalism about it, is that, people are looking for affirmation, permission, whether they realize it or not, from someone else. No, that's not how it works. Because you can't demonstrate, convince, or otherwise anybody if you haven't done it to yourself first. Then, and only then, will you be able to establish strategies for whatever it is that you say you want to do. You can only establish those strategies. Like you said, I want to jump in. I don't know where to jump in. What is your strategy? What is it that you're trying to do? But you cannot until you know who you are, right? And then you can develop those strategies. Same thing goes with writing writs. Rather than just copying a writ off of someone else or the site or whatever and not knowing what it is, you will not be able to stand on it because it's not in you. So that's, once you know who you are, you know how to establish a strategy based on that. For real. It just comes to you, and you might just, you didn't put it all together or whatever like that. So that's what you must do. And then as far as public assistance or whatever like that, look, all the funds, their tributes, quite frankly, and if it wasn't for you, the Aboriginal people, there wouldn't be any. They usually come from some sort of federal program administered out by different states and agencies, states like that. But they're for you. But what they do is make you, when you come into exercise or take advantage of that benefit or whatever, they make you, by some paperwork they put in front of you, turn yourself into a Negro, colored, black, or whatever like that. You just cross that out. And if they don't have a place in there that says that you are who you are, then cross it out and draw a line and write it in. Just because they don't have it on their form don't mean that that's not who you are. Excuse you, but this is who I am. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And so they do that because most of the people don't know. All right? So you got to be who you are first. Then you can go out and jump into whatever you need to jump in with strategy.
Okay. Because I've been practicing. I went to, I'm from Chicago, I guess Memphis.
Yeah.
And my son, I knew he didn't have any insurance. I knew he didn't have any plates. I thought his insurance was good, but I knew his plates were bad. But everything is in my name. The car is in my name. And we were driving, and all of a sudden I see red and blue flashing, and I said, oh, boy. Me, I'm kind of stupid. I'm, woo-hoo, please stop me, okay. And so I'm with my youngest son, and I tell him, turn on the video. I want you to record this. So whatever happens, I got it on tape. And so the policy enforcer is very nice. And he was asking for my information. And I asked him, I said, well, do you have your delegation of authority? He says, and I was in Wyoming. He says, I get my delegation of authority from the state of Wyoming. So I don't recognize the state of Wyoming. And I said, I'm a Moorish American. He said, what's that? Now I'm looking at him. And he has reddish hair, fair features, kind of frecklish, hazel eyes. Like, you don't know what a Moor is? You've never heard of a Moor? No. It's okay. I said, doing the education thing. I said, what nationality are you from? What nationality are you? He says, I'm American. I said, where'd your family come from? He said, I found out I got some Irish and some Scottish. I said, you never heard of the Moors? I said, they enslaved your type back in the day, I heard. He was like, oh, you said Moors. He said, I thought you were on that sovereign citizen thing. I said, no. And so my youngest son, this whole time, was like suffocating himself with his neck pillow because he thinks his mom's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because they don't understand where I'm coming from now. And so he gives up everything. He gives. I got my insurance card that's kind of it's through the washing machine, and I got my driver's license. And he says I can't find my registration, and so the guy, he's just standing there and he's looking at me. Well, he's laughing at my son, but he's looking for me. And I said, I don't have to give you my information. I said, but since you're not permitting me to leave on my journey, I said, I have to give it to you. And so I told him also that I was traveling, that we were journeying, we weren't driving anywhere. And so he came back and he says, well, I'm just going to give you this warning. He said, just be careful, because he said I was speeding, and I know I saw 80 was the last speed limit I saw. I was doing like 82. So he didn't give me a warning. He says, well, the next person you come across might not be so nice. And I said, you're going to come across more of my type. I said, so be ready. I said, I hope you're going to be as nice to them as you were to me. So that's my little testimony. I've been excited. And so I feel that I can go further. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like I have to challenge.
Yeah,
what's your astrology sign?
I'm sorry?
What is your astrology sign?
Aries.
I was going to say that. That's why you feel like you have to challenge, because that's what Aries do. They're the ram. So you just have to be careful about, the fact that, you ran yourself through the brick wall when the door was right over to the left. Because when you ran yourself through the brick wall, you cause bricks to fall on the people on the other side. It's unnecessary. So that's why you have to challenge. Look into that, and you'll see. But you need to harness your energy and use it for good with strategy and not with emotion. That's just not you. That's all of us. Because the truth is that when you get this truth and you realize how much you've been duped, where most people go is the emotional side of it, and that's why it's difficult for them to stick to the law of it, because they're so confounded about, oh my gosh, I can't believe these truths that I have found and how I've been to. And so they become emotional. So you just have to focus your energy. And like I said before, it's not that you need to go to convince anyone of who you are and you being who you are. Just be who you are and demonstrate to yourself first, and it automatically exudes out. And that's what we need to do. Now, how do we do that? Is to stay within principles. It's all about the principles. And if we stay with the principles, then we will find ourselves on the proper path. All right? And the first principle is love, truth, peace, freedom, and then justice is covered.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
All right. Islam.
Do you have other callers?
I do have a couple more other callers, but let's see, where are you? 619? I'll come back to you. You're 619, correct?
Yes.
Why, did you have another question?
I have another person here.
Islam.
Oh,
everyone.
Islam.
My name is
Islam.
David. Yeah. We're both just kind of new into this thing, and we've both been doing our studies and research and stuff like that. So a lot of the things that she was trying to convey, she really doesn't have it down yet. I actually have a question regarding appellations.
Yes.
And attaching appellations to your number here. The title Day, DEY. Is that like is that just like reserved for a particular person that's like in a temple or something like that, or is that something that you could attach?
No, but you got to be careful, because these temples that are incorporating everything will try to incorporate that too. But no, L and Bey are the titles specifically for us here in the North American continent portion. And L really is kind of equates to lawmaker and Bey law enforcer. And, you can kind of see some of that when you look at them and they talk about bailiffs and, bailiwicks and stuff like that. So the Bey is the law enforcer, L is the lawmaker. But
okay, what about the Day with the DUI?
That's not for us necessarily in the North American continent. Not that it's not a title out of the 5. It's like this. All right, so the Day is really for masters in astrology, mostly South American continent, generally speaking. And the AL, are for those who are masters in the sciences of, mathematical, geometrical, all of those things come from, our sciences. However, we have to, back to the principles, we have to fundamentally be the L's and the B's, the lawmakers and the law enforcers, before we can graduate to any other degree of a title that is right. So we can't assign ourselves stuff when we don't even know how to do the fundamentals of L's and B's, lawmakers and law enforcers. And so that's why we... Yeah, so you get it now?
Yes.
And they're also... See, it's a title. Huh?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying so. The L and the Bay is a title, not a last name. It's not. It's the title to the appellation, all right? But it is the key. Because some people will keep their quote-unquote nom de guerre and add an L or a Bay on it. And many people do that, and that still makes it a free national appellation with a title. Because those titles are the titles of the estate.
Okay.
To industrial estate.
My family is from, well, on my father's side, I was going back, tracing back my bloodline, and my great-grandmother on my father's side, his mother's mother, she was from Yazoo, Mississippi, and I think that area was a Choctaw or Washita. I'm not quite sure, but information I got from my family. Okay, my grandmother's maiden name was Day, D-A-Y. She had a father that was Irish, and his last name was O'Day. And so that's why I asked about that. And she was adept in astrology and astronomy.
There you go. Okay. So now you know that it doesn't mean that we were restricted to any portion of the land, but just given in general. So now you just proved the point, made the point that I just said. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, D-A-Y and D-E-Y, the vowels are interchangeable, correct?
This is correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A-E, as a matter of fact, it's the vowels, which means the vowels of the L's, vowel sounds, A-E-I-O-N-U, they're all interchangeable. Yes.
Because like I said, I had to know. I was looking into it. I said, yeah, well, I want to go back. I said, that's what my actual family name is coming from my bloodline. So why wouldn't I use it? Then when I saw that it needed to be degrees in astronomy and astrology and stuff like that, I said, well, that makes even more sense. So, you know.
And if the titles had not been stripped, right, and if the culture of your family and you're talking your mother's side, which is great, maternal, had not been hindered in any way, it would have been passed down generation to generation. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about affixing back our titles, period, all right? We wouldn't even be having a conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for clearing that up. Because I was really, I was really kind of having an issue with trying to, because I wanted to start using that, but I was like, I don't want to do this, because I couldn't find what the counter would be to that, using that title and any other type of format. Like if I'm trying to just go out and do all new business in my new free national name, if I and then they say, okay, well, you're not really a day based on this criteria.
Well, I think if you did your research and you have affidavits of fact or created an affidavit of fact, anybody would have to acknowledge that with you. But then, like I said, you would have to also come up to that place because that was an acquired degree, period, from your family. So that's something that you could consider. And with your research, you have substantiated evidence and, can put that affidavit together, even if you were to, write to us and wanted to get a card. You understand? So that's what I would do. All right?
All right. Thank you so much.
Islam, you've been so helpful.
All right.
Peace.
All right.
Islam. And one thing to add on too. One thing to add on with regard to the new people that are coming into this information or people who are still marinating, know that you have to do a detox before you start getting serious into this. Like, don't think that you're just gonna, like they said, information overload, because you're putting all this new stuff on the old stuff.
Yes.
You know, because it's really it is really simple, but it's only hard because we have all these other stuff in our mind that we're putting all this new stuff in without getting rid of the old things that we don't need in our mind.
Mhm.
You know, so look at it like if you look at it like somebody who just came out of 10 years prison. They're not going to come out here and be normal after 10 years. They're going to have to detox first. If somebody says they want to get healthy or whatever like that, you're going to have to flush your system of all the BS that's in it before you put the good stuff in.
Yes.
Right.
There always has to be the detox or some form of cleansing yourself, your mindset specifically, of the old information that you know is BS now because you're studying. So the new information that you get is supposed to replace the old stuff that you don't need, not everything stay. Like certain things you're gonna have to forget about. Like you're gonna have to leave certain things where they are and not to them. When we say detox, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to cold turkey some things. Some things are going to have to be cold turkey. Certain people who you thought you were learning from and all that stuff, you realize that. Hold on a second. I've been on MHHS for 10 minutes. I learned more stuff than this guy that's been teaching me for 20 years. Time to let go of that 20-year-old guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's serving no purpose to you. I don't care how much your mom hooked you up with him and all that stuff, and he's friend of the family and all that, or we're Masons together or whatever. Forget all that BS. If you're learning things now and the things that you have in your mind are opposite of the things that you're learning, and like the brother said, you know, well, I did my research, and then when I did my family research, I found out that we got Beys in our family and all that. So what the hell am I? Why wouldn't I proclaim that I'm more? What more do I need? You know what I mean? Like, what more do I need? I go do research and I find out, okay, there's a Bey in our family, you know, 100 years ago. Then you probably want to consider this on even a higher level than you think that you're considering it.
Yes.
You know, because this is really bloodline now. This is not just a statement that you're making, like how people talk. You know, yeah, we're birthrights. Like for some people, this is really birthrights for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, it's interesting what you're saying. Oh, go ahead. I don't want.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying what you're saying is I call it an exorcism and then the baptism, because you have to exercise out that crap. That's one of the problems, Cujo, that I think our people have. They get some new information and they're still carrying the baggage of, you know, like this nationality principles information, and then they're still carrying the baggage of some other fiction stuff and trying to figure out how to fit it there. It doesn't fit, you know. You're right. You have to detox out of that stuff. It's a whole holistic thing. Very important.
Yeah. And then with regard to the day as well, keep in mind that on top of the spiritual meanings behind the titles, they do have geographical or territorial jurisdiction as well. So one example is about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, maybe it was 3 weeks ago. One of our we'll say childhood friends, you know what I mean, that we went to school with and all that. We got the eureka moment that his name is Dey, D-E-Y. Now, to know that we went to high school with him and all that, you know what I mean, like knew him, but nobody really it never really registered because everybody called him by his street name. They never used the quote unquote government name or whatever, because nobody doesn't want to be called that. You know what I mean? They want to be called the nickname. So we call him nickname for all these years. 3 weeks ago, like we've been knowing this dude since the 80s or whatever. 3 weeks ago, one of the Moors brought up, hey, remember so-and-so or whatever? Yeah, everybody. And it's the same thing today. You bring him up today, you talk about the nickname. Hey, what was his real name? Or what, Earl Day. Wait a minute. Day? All this time hearing that, never registered, and then he's from Guyana, which is South America. Right? And, again, that name is supposed to be one of the South names, or that title. It's supposed to be one of the South titles. So it does have, a connection to territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were saying in a couple of classes ago, we were saying, don't get caught up with, like we were saying with the Bay and Day. Don't get caught up with the Bay and Bay, B-A-Y-B-E-Y. Know that everywhere that there's a B-A-Y is because a B-E-Y docked a boat there.
That's right.
Or they had a port there, or they had something to do with navigation there. Why they call that place Bay? Like that place wasn't called B-A-Y anciently. It was probably B-E-Y, and it got converted to B-A-Y because Europeans didn't know how to write and stuff like that. So they interpreted how they can interpret based on their limited knowledge.
And another one, Joe, because it's A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y, right? So there's another one where I've seen Bay spelled B-E-I. And this was from I was at New York in one of the stores, and I don't know what the nationality was, but he spelled his B-E-I. So there you go. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we got a couple more callers. Miz, did you have a comment or?
No, that was yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. So we're going to go to let's see, caller 904-881. You're on live on the air.
Islam.
Islam.
Okay. I just kind of really learned about the Moorish about a couple of months ago, and like the lady said before, it's kind of like information overload. So I'm learning like where exactly should I know? I keep hearing everybody say study. So where should I begin? I have a Bouvier's law dictionary. I have got me an American Heritage Dictionary, and also an Oxford etymology dictionary. And I'm going back and forth, but I don't know if I should start with the etymology dictionary first or the American Heritage Dictionary first. Like, I'm kind of like, where should I begin?
With yourself first, to be honest with you, because you can have all that information, and that's something that happens too. You can have all that information and read it, and it's just like with the law of the land, as simplistic as it is, 7 and 10 organic, right? If you don't know where you are in it, like I had mentioned earlier, status, if you don't know your relationship to the community and all of that stuff that you get ready to read, then you can get messed up in it. So seriously, you can, because you don't know where you are in it. So you must start with self first. And all I can say is I know on you got to write books. That's for sure, to do what you need to do to your Steady, 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 as you said. But you got to know where you are in it first, who you are, what your relationship to the community is, because it is not just a mere relationship, but it is a lawful/legal one. So that all that stuff you read in legal and lawful and all those books, you know how it applies to you, and definitely be able to distinguish between when they're talking about stuff that applies to corporations and fiction, natural person versus corporate person or fiction person, as is used, as the word person is used as an example in the 14th Amendment. So, and then know that when you're reading other stuff, that they are they talking about the natural flesh and blood being person, or are they talking about the corporation person? So if you don't know, you can read other stuff, and they'll say a person must do this and a person must do that, and they're really talking about a corporation. You're trying to fit that in to the lawful stuff just read. You must know who you are in it first. Now, as far as, there's a lot of other things to be suggested, but because this is a mental cleansing, as we just mentioned, and a detoxing, as we just mentioned, and an awakening, or what I like to call exorcism, and then the true exorcism and baptism, then, at RVBey, we have certain introductory books to open your mind a little bit on just about every. One of the books I found that people seem to like is Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry 1? And then there's Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry 2? The Nigger Industry. These are all staple books that get you to open your mind and then be able to understand and take your place among the affairs of man, because they really tell you who's who and what is what. And the things, and they show you the things that you've been seeing every day that you think is one thing is really not. So to answer your question, start with yourself first and then apply that knowledge. That's my answer to it. I don't know if someone else has a suggestion.
Yeah, I would say how to study too. How to study, but also like you got to know how to use your tools. That's the main thing. Because, like you said, should you start in the American Heritage Dictionary? Ask if you should start in the American Heritage Dictionary, your Black's Law Dictionary. And the answer is both of them. But you need to know that there are also tools. Like, so if you're reading other literature, like this is where it becomes very effective. When you read other literature and then see words that you don't know the meaning of, you look them up in your dictionary, right? And now you're getting comprehension of the reading, plus more, because you're going to learn more by even looking up the word. Like, and that's the real truth. So, from studying, you get your unabridged, see if you could cross-reference it in your law dictionary. Now you're not just reading, like you're comprehending, breaking it down, and getting the understanding. So, yeah, you can just read it if you want, but you got to also know, like, it's a tool. It's a tool. Like, sometimes you got to, cut the grass. Sometimes you got to rake the leaves. There's tools to get a certain done. You got multiple tools now to do that. You got both dictionaries, unabridged and a law dictionary. That's great. So now you can go all the way in. And if they send you notices or things like that, now you can or paperwork, whatever it is. Like if they're using language you don't know, you can't be deceived now when you look up the etymology in the law dictionary.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that's the main. I think that's the main thing. The main thing is that you're going to be doing something that you've never done. Like we've never been quote unquote studious. If it's to get some paper from European school, we'll be studious. Or if it's to get, some handout, we'll be studious. But for ourselves, for us to know personally, Like, we were never studious until we started coming into this information. You realize that they got all these different kind of dictionaries out there and all that. You didn't care about no dictionaries before you thought about nationality or Moors or whatever. There wasn't even anything. You didn't even think about spending $80 on a book. It wasn't even a thought. But now that it's a thought, you know, like what Ms. is saying, now that you have the tools, you better start doing something with those tools you got, because you have them. So it doesn't matter whether it's a newspaper you're reading or whether, you know, you're reading books from the library that you borrowed or whatever. There's going to be stuff in there that you don't know as far as words, and now you can look them up so you're not deceived later. You know, because that, you know, everything that you're learning isn't for now; it's for later. You know, that's why you tell them more to study. You know, doesn't matter what it is. Pick it up, read it. Doesn't matter who gives it to you. Take it, read it, decipher it. Come to your own conclusion about what it is that's being presented. And the only way you're going to do that is if you know what it is that you're reading. You know, and the only way you're going to know what you're reading is to know what words mean. And dictionaries is the only place that you're going to find that out. You're not going to find out what words mean anywhere else but dictionaries.
Exactly.
You know.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Peace and love.
Indeed. Peace and love. Yeah.
All right. All right. A couple more callers here. Let's go to 2702. You're live on the air. Six 682-702. You are live on.
This is my phone was muted. My bad for that.
All right.
Yeah, this is Easy Amir RVBey. Calling from northwest of Mexico. Islam.
Islam.
I had a couple of questions. Islam. I was first and foremost, I want to thank all y'all. I appreciate everything y'all doing, and y'all really opened my eyes, all three of them. I would like to thank you for that referring me to class 10. That last call. I went back and listened to that. That was a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a question about. I do lawn service, and
okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, when you working with your own business, like the taxes. Do you have like a reference for that, like you gave me on the last one? You have like a class that you did with people with their own business, like how to file not file taxes, but how to get back the taxes that I spent on like gas and weed eater string and all that.
Well, if that's your lawn service, those are expenses that you have to have in order to do your business. What does that have to do with anyone else? In other words, if that's the service, because remember, you can only either sell a product or a service. That is it, and that is all. And you're either going to sell the product or the service for yourself or for someone else. So you are providing a service, and it's a lawn service. And so if you're providing that service, and I say to you, all right, well, I'll have you cut my lawn every week or every 2 weeks for the summer season, or whatever like that, then you got to come with the lawnmower. That's right. And you got to come with the gas for the lawnmower, if that's what type of lawnmower, and you need the clippers. And that's all part of your expenses in order for you to offer that service. So now if you're saying that you want someone in your pocket that is taxing you, which is what happens when you, sign up as a corporation or whatever like that, especially with a service. I really don't get that because that's a service that you offer. And so if you're a sole proprietor of what you do, then that means that you're non-incorporated and that you handle your own business and paperwork and affairs. And as far as you're concerned, your lawn service might be ABC Lawn Service, but you are the sole proprietor, let's say, and therefore, you handle your own business, and you are in a position where you are not taxed by anyone because of your status and your position in terms of, who's going to tax you. So why are you talking about taxes? Unless you're saying you bought some stuff and you're talking about I had to pay taxes, well, then even with that, well, then what you're asking about is you're talking about sales tax. Now, remember, you're talking about a sales tax that when you went to the store. Right. Okay. Now, so the sales tax is for the seller, not the buyer. You become the buyer, so therefore it's not a buyer's tax. You will have to understand and get in your head what that is, and that's where people use what they term as tax exempt. But exempt, you are tax non-obligatory. It's a difference to pay taxes. So you might want to go to the site, the About Taxes page, and you can get some information there. But remember, there's the sales tax, there's the quote-unquote income tax when you have a job. So now, as a sole proprietor, you would never have employees. You would have, like if I was a Moor and you're a company and your service, then, you're compensating me for my time there, et cetera, like that. But if you had employees, then they would be saying, hey, we got this, you got some employees. Well, even if I worked for you, I would never be, if I worked with you and provided my energy, I would never be an employee. So you got to understand all that. So that's the page that you would have to go to and understand about that. Because, yeah. See, and let me say this to you. Some people demonstrate that by their word of mouth when they go into different stores and buy stuff. And if you're especially dealing with other places, that would be like on a more local mom and pop type thing, and they're nationals, they do get that because they ain't paying the taxes anyway. So they darn sure ain't gonna charge me for the taxes in their store, and I know they're not paying them because it's national principle that they understand. So that's what you would have to do. You would have to go and look that up a little bit and study that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Appreciate that. My last question.
One more thing to add. One more thing to add. Also, based on what you said your business is, make sure you look up, if you never heard of, look up John Albert Burr.
Hold on, let me write that down. John
Albert. Last name Burr.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll check him out. That was another Moor?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check that out. And my last question, I was just wondering if somebody is on, like, housing. I was reading through the Constitution, and it say, I think it's Amendment 4, say the right to remain secure in papers, property, and effects, which I think effects means, like if you change or, change anything with your appellation or status, does that mean I have to go back to housing and correct that with housing before, because I'm going to eventually try to claim the house, but while I'm still working through the matrix, I want to see if I actually had to go back and correct that with them, that status.
What do you have a mortgage or something in the house?
No, it's housing benefits.
Oh, well, it's like I said earlier, these programs, these federal programs the states are allowed to participate and administer them, and then they're really for the Aboriginal Indigenous people. If it wasn't for the Aboriginal Indigenous people, they wouldn't even have those programs. So that's what they're for. So, essentially, you're talking about a what is it called? I forgot what it's called because we have it on the where you're giving them a correction of who you are. But I don't know. It's old business. I would just leave it like it is and just don't do any new business in that old name. But if you do need to, you would do a name correction. It's on the
name correction.
Not a name
judicial.
Yeah, it would just be a notice that you have. See, you got to understand though. They're going to say to you, well, where's the court order that you change your name? So now you got to understand what a common law name correction is. You got to understand and know that you have that the common law name correction, which means you just start using it and being it and doing it in that name well, here it is right here. So let me just read this to you real quick because this is the case law. All right, now listen to this. So common law name correction has more power than a court affirmation. All right?
Oh, really?
Yes, but see, that's on the site. On the National Identification. Okay. On the National Identification Card page, that's on the site. And we suggest that people read on that page, we suggest people read that in its entirety, if they have not already. But here's the deal. Listen to this. Common law consists of the archaic principles, usages, and rules of action applicable to government and security of person and property, which do not rest for their authority upon any express and positive declaration of the will of the legislature. And so the common law predates the contemporary legislature-derived laws. This should give one a better understanding about inalienable rights being natural and being first. Therefore, the court method of corroborating a name correction and change is not to be assumed as being necessary, nor is it superior, but it is merely a formalized method of confirming or acknowledging a person's right to a name correction or change. That's their decision. The judicial or court method of changing one's name is merely an affirmation and aid of the common law. Thus, the common law, by superiority, establishes supreme validation and suffices to serve public notice for declaration of a name correction and change. Now, here's a case law that's, this is supported, that is not pursuant to, but affirmed by. Such a change, the exact same legal way as a court-decreed name change, as long as it is not done with any fraudulent intent. And that's a case law in Ray, McAlter, Christensen versus King County. Now, listen to this. One may be employed, do business, and enter into other contracts and sue and be sued under any aim they choose at their will. So, you can set up your own little, it's like a name correction for the record if there's some business that you really need them to change, adapt, or alter your, what your appellation is, then you can just write that up and send it to them if you need it to be on there. But if not, don't even bother. Just leave it there because you are the authorized person for whatever business you're into. So go back and read that a little and look into those things, and then you will be able to be more clear on what you want to do.
Okay, yeah, because I had read through the nationality part and then the driver's license fraud, because that's what I was going through, with the tribunals and stuff. But yeah, I definitely go back on RVBey publications and read that. And,
all right.
I'll go there. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I just want to make a reference to. I was watching it. I was watching TED 2. And, yeah, it has some good stuff up in there. If y'all seen that, yeah, I just want to make that reference.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Has anybody never seen TED 2?
Yeah. For real. They're talking about Dred Scott and how he was propping. And
the whole thing. Everything's in it. Yeah. Absolutely. That was a good one. You gotta go watch that one again. Thanks for that one. That's gonna be my weekend movie. TED 2.
For real.
Yeah. And what for those who listening, it's called what?
TED 2.
Oh, TED 2. Yeah. Okay.
With the bear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for dropping that. We'll all have to check that out.
Yeah. I appreciate everything y'all do, for real. I understand that y'all been doing this for so long until I went back and listened to Class 10. But there was some good keys up in there too. Gave me a lot of insight on the Constitution, especially Article 3. And I broke that whole article down. That was good right there. I needed that. But yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Was that on what? Standing on Law?
Standing on Law. And you had referred that to me last show when I called in.
Actually,
I had went back and listened.
That's divine. If you found it in there, because I was actually talking about a class number 10 that we did on how to write a suit. That was actually a printed thing from the Moorish Heritage and History page. You see that little owl there that says study time, and there are archived handout syllabuses from years and years ago. But that's cool because we just brought it up to so I'm glad that Class 10 helped you, because we really broke down the entire Constitution in the Sister Standing on Law Constitution class. So yeah. All right. Good.
Yeah. So that wasn't the right one. Which one was you telling me? I'm sorry, I missed that thing.
Well, listen, it's divine. That's the right one. It gave you what you needed to have, because believe me, like you said, we've been doing this for years. The handwritten ones is like from 2006 up to now, which, where are we? That's like 11 years ago. So the principles don't change. So whether it's written or we started doing a broadcast where it's audible, where you can go back and listen. We started those some years back. So it doesn't really matter which one you get. It's all good.
Okay. But what was the one about the suit? That was the question I had too.
That's number 10 that you'll find. The Sister Anita L did that long ago. I don't know. I think 2008. I'm going to say, or 9. But I think we give it out when on the handout, and I believe we give it out when we give out the free handouts. If you order a book, we have a certain packet that we give out, and I think that class is in there on how to build a suit, and another one, and then class number 9, which I think she gave that one also on Let's Talk About the Straw. So those were written syllabuses in regards to that, and that's what I was speaking of. But yes, you could find it in the where you found it.
Moorish
also.
history. You said Moorish history. It's the Moorish history.
At Heritage School page of the site, and if you drop down, there's an owl with glasses on it. It says study time, and there's underneath that is if you click on it, it's like all the classes that. Many of the classes, I think all of them that we had done with written syllabuses. All right?
Okay. All right.
Thank you for your call. and love. Keep learning, bro.
All right. I will. Study.
All right.
And something else he brought up too for people with regard to the studying, because as we know, there's in this day and age, there's many different avenues that you might bump into to get this information. But how to really know who's who and where they stand is that when you look at their teachings, the principles shouldn't change.
That's right.
So the same way that we can go to a 20-year-ago Taj and get 50 pages worth of notes, just like we could today, with an updated Taj or whatever. Same thing we go on RVBey 10 years ago to right now. You'll still be on there for hours with pages and pages of notes because it's the same principles.
That's right.
But when you start getting into all these opportunists and charlatans and frauds and false prophets and whoever else that's pushing this info, you realize that their timeline's not the same.
That's right.
You realize that 5 years ago they were called something. 5 years before that they were called something else, teaching something totally different. 5 years before that they weren't even around. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So use the lessons that people have as a reference point, but also, like we say with excited or high sexual energy youth and stuff like that, make sure you check baby pictures, because this is 2007 and everybody might not be who they say that they are.
How about that?
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of balloon breasts and clip on penises and stuff like that now. So don't get caught up. You know what I mean? That you missed something, or you know what I mean? Just because you strayed from the foundation, which is all majority of people get trapped up in stuff. Because as soon as you move from where the principles are, now you're in no man's land, and you're on your own at that point. Whatever goes down is gonna go down. It's only going down to you. Yeah, because you should have known better than to stray after the gods of Europe who you knew nothing about.
Yeah. I came in learning under Taj and y'all. That's where I think I'm at for good. I got everything I need to know, and what I don't know, I come and ask y'all for reference points to go to. So I appreciate everything y'all do. For real, truly.
You, boy.
Indeed.
Easy, Mary.
That's your back.
Yes, easy, Mary. That's that. I got you. I remember you last time. I'm glad that you went and did that, and it helps you. So now go and check out the text part and get back to us on that.
All right.
Islam.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.
All right, Is, Tujo, Rod,
Moor,
and NIE.
Okay.
Send good energy to her too. Islam.
Oh, definitely. Now, what area did you say that you were near?
The Texas Corporation, Texas Territory.
The Lone Star.
Yeah.
All right. Taking a note on that.
Yeah.
All right. Peace and love, and thank you for your call.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
All right. Ms., did you want to add something before I go to the next call? We have 2 more callers. 3 more callers.
Yeah, I was just going to, brother, to make sure to look up the definition of effects, because I remember him asking about effects in the Constitution. And it's an interesting definition if you look into Black's law. And like Cujo was saying, certain principles don't change. So you got cause and effect, like even in constitutional law, you know, cause and effects. and, you know, causes of actions, effects and property and things like that. So, yeah, the effect follows the cause.
Saying what he brought to the table, Amendment 4, or Bill of Rights 4, which is for the people. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, plural, houses, plural, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. And that's why you will find, like, you see some of these shows that half of them might want to tell half the truth or whatever, and you'll see them saying, oh, well, the search warrant, because there's an arrest warrant and the search warrant, right? The search warrant was, it says specifically what you're looking for, right? That's what it says. And describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So if they're looking for bananas and they happen to find an apple, they can't use the apple. It's only the banana, whatever they see otherwise than that. So it's interesting. You know, enforcing the Constitution, believe me, it keeps them from molesting you. And if we would all collectively do that, we'd be in a much better place. But we would prefer rather to divide. And as Cujo said, you got people coming in, you know, 5 years ago they were something else and whatever. They're just coming in and they really don't know what the heck they're not enforcing the Constitution at all. They're not bringing the unity at all to our situation at all. They're bringing division, and they many of them do it so that they can have a title, a position, and dealing with their egos. End of that story. All right. So next caller is
323. Yeah.
323-507. You are live on the air.
Hey, peace, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. How y'all doing tonight?
Peace. Oh, that's fine. Right. And yourself?
Man, oh man. They trying to crucify me out here. This Antonio Bay calling from the so-called DC area. And Mia Bay. Yeah. So we just got out of the so-called DC jail. They kidnapped us for this whole week. And yeah, so yeah, we challenged jurisdiction in the Superior Court, and yeah, man, it didn't work out for us. They just ignored everything as far as all national law or international law and everything. It's like they ignored every single paper, every single document that we submitted in the courts, and started adding charges for documentation that we submitted. Said we committing fraud and impersonating a notary officer and unlawful entries on ancestral estate and stacking the charges. And then they try to quickly adjudicate us and have a court case. Well, we just served 7 days, did 7 days. Well, we was kidnapped for 7 days, and then now they let us out today. And we got to go back to court on Monday.
Well,
to the tribunal.
What was it about? Because, you know, what we have discovered here is that, you know, you're dealing with, on a municipal level, you're really dealing with what we would call Roman venues, and on some of these state levels is really English charters. So when you're dealing with these so-called courts, because you said Superior Court of something, what is that? That's not the Supreme Court. And who brought the charges? What were the alleged charges? And you just kind of said so a little bit about a illegal entry. And so it sounds like it was a matter of entering into a house or something like that.
Yep, and entering onto the land. So basically, and I think my consul had been, so entering on our ancestral estate. They charged us with an unlawful entry for a.
You people who are you the people who are emailed to the land? Okay, well, I kind of gave you some information there, and I think you saw where there was a little mistake in things there.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So now they basically spreading our information all. Oh, they spreading our information all over the news. All got our all over the DC so-called DC news, every channel, and so now we're just trying to get up out this situation.
Right. But we're going to have to do that, but I told you what that was. That's just like, it reminds me of a person who, not that this is your case, your situation, but, who did something, somewhat similar, and then called the news to let them know they was there. And I'm like, what the heck did you do that for? And then they said, well, because the prophet said, listen to the newspaper. And so they had the wrong idea on that, but that's what they'll do. But as far as any other further information regarding that on this line, you can email as we did you and go from there. But you know what I mean? Because I had already told you what that was.
Yeah, I got you.
So if you want to email. Now, when they did put you in there for 7 days, was it for contempt of court?
No, it was just for the. It was for a one. It was for the unlawful entry, and it was also for a failure to appear.
Oh, you didn't appear somewhere?
Didn't appear to the Superior Court for the court date that they gave me.
Okay, not even special appearance in written form and or in or special visitation. You just did not go. So then that. Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, we didn't do a special. We sent in documentation, but we didn't do a actual special appearance to the actual court date. I mean, for that court date.
Well,
so
appearance.
Did you send in special appearance right now?
Say that again for me.
Did you send in a special appearance in writing? Like, was your documents titled special appearance or?
No. Yeah, we didn't put actually special appearance on the documentation, but we did do a avertment of jurisdiction, a rebuttal for all the documentation that they, for all the claims that they had made against us. We did a rebuttal for all the claims.
What he's saying is that a special appearance can also be in written form.
Okay. And we also default judgment them for not responding to us as well.
Okay. Well, email me back again, and and we can discuss that further. All right.
Okay.
All right. Peace.
And one quick thing again. Every single time that a Moor stands up for whatever right it is, and the corporate state, corporate court, corporate whatever wants to, play like they're not recognizing and they don't want to, acknowledge something, always remember that these people are colored. Always remember Noble Drew Ali told you that you're not Negro, black, colored. Neither are they, though. Because they're supposed to be acting in a de jure capacity. So as soon as they start not recognizing and stuff like that, never put it on yourself that you did something wrong or you're, because that's that same victim slave stuff that we like to do when something happens to us. Or, somebody did something to us. Recognize that those people are colored. That's why they did what they did. They didn't do anything because they have some superior power over you or whatever. You know what I mean? They know they know you're a threat to society. Waking up. That's why they put you in the pen. The ones that have the possibility to make a big impact are going to be challenged the hardest when they make their claims. The point is to stick to your claim. Don't start talking about, oh, well, they did that, so now we're going to sue them and you just got off your claim. Your claim was they don't have jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Your claim was whatever the claim was that you were making. You know, don't let their action get you off of where you were. You know, because trust me, the reason why they're going at you how they're going at you is because you're right, not because you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. And just how wrong they are. Mhm.
Right.
Yep. Islam to that. All right. We have.
Because we know even from when we used to do stuff that was bad, that you got away with it. Nobody wants to acknowledge the good stuff. They never catch you doing something good, but you know you get caught with your pants down one day, see how much people are watching all of a sudden, and you thought you were nobody. You got nobody paid attention to you or whatever, but that one day when you had that little booger hanging out your nose, everybody's camera was out. And none of these colored people passed you a tissue to say wipe your nose or whatever. They just sat there next to you, watching you with the booger hanging out.
So nobody's hanging out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. All right. So let's go to. I'm sorry. Did you have a comment to add? Because we have a normal caller.
Oh no, you can take the next call.
All right. All right. So it's the 856-397. You are live on the air.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Wow.
Okay. Good. I've been following the Moors for a while, and I know I'm trying to get sovereign. I'm going to send my papers in. I have to edit them because I wanted to add L along with Bey because I'm learning the different, like Ali. I'm not sure what Ali means. I know what L means. That's like spiritual, is it not?
Now, L is lawmaker and Bey is law enforcement. We are fundamentally L's and Beys, and there's no real need for you to have two of the family titles.
Okay, because I only had I'm correcting my name along with proclaiming my nationality, but I only put my corrected name in Bey, and I wanted to add L and Bey to it.
Yes. For you, I know that there's some people who do that. They may call themselves that or whatever, but there really is no need for you to have both. There's 5 titles or whatever, but L's and Beys, as we mentioned earlier, are fundamental. Fundamentally, we are L's and Beys here, and there's really no real need to have both two of the family titles, because there's really not a family. There's really not a nation of family called El Bey. There really isn't. So if you're actually doing a serious correction, like El or Bey, whichever, you're going to.
I just put my regular name and then Bey. I put Leah Bey, and then I started learning of the other family names, and then I said, well, some people say, well, it's, L is like spiritual, and so I was trying to get it.
All of it is because you're the law manifested flesh, so that's spiritual. That's why it's divine and national movement. So all of them.
Okay. Now the other problem I was having is I had to put it on legal paper, and 8x14. I was having a problem with finding a 8x14 envelope to put it in.
Okay.
Now,
no, you don't fold. You don't fold it.
I realize
fold
that's why I can't find an 8 by 14 envelope.
It's 8.5 by 14, which is also called legal. So you're looking for a legal size envelope, and you can find them at Staples. They're usually yellow manila envelopes. You know what I'm saying? And you would get them in that size.
I've been to all of them, and I only find 8 to 8. I find an 8 to 12, a 8 to 13. I find a 9 to 12, but I have not found an 8.5 by 14.
Why couldn't you use the 8.5 by 12 or the 9 by 12? It'll fit in there and have room left over. That would be good to use.
If it's 8 by 14, then I'll have to fold the edges down.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Then you would do a 9 by, I thought you said 8.5. It's actually 8.5 by 14, and that's legal. And so what you would need is, you said a 9 by, there's a 9 by, wait a minute, there's a 9 by 14, I think they were, or 9 by 15 or something like that. I mean, I know I've got legal envelopes right here, so I know that they sell them in Staples. I know that for a fact.
I've been there, and I like now I'm talking about a regular manila envelope that's going with a 9 by 14 or something like that. Now, some of them have like the bubbles in them and stuff like that. You know, that's where you can find like,
You said 9 by 14, right?
Right, a 9 by 15, but it has little bubbles in it.
It's
not just a flat, you know, it's just not like a.
Saying to you, you can find the 9 by 14 that would work without the bubbles. It's in the same aisle as the ones with the bubbles, at least in the Staples that I go to. And you can get a whole box of them, but I don't think you want to buy a whole box of them. So they sell maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 10 individually.
I know. I just want to cut to the chase because I've been to them all and I've been looking because I've had my papers for almost 2 weeks and I've been looking, and I'm still trying to find one where I don't have to bend and I don't have to buy a box of them.
I'll tell you what you do because I'm going to be honest, I've never heard anybody have a problem with that. But, you know, if you can't find it, you can't find it. But when you go to mail them, they have cardboard mailers at the post office that will fit them in there. So just take a regular manila envelope or a manila folder or a legal folder, you know, and put them in the legal folder and then put them in a cardboard mailer from the post office and send them like that.
I went to the post office and I looked. And I said, do they have any legal envelopes? Nobody seems to know what I'm talking about. I've been to Staples. I've been to... I'm in Jersey.
Where are you? And where?
Jersey. South Jersey.
Yeah, South Jersey. Okay. I go, listen. Are you from the Vineland area, Vineland? I'm just looking at the 856. Are you from that particular?
I'm South Jersey, down near Camden, White Horse Pike.
Okay. I don't know what's going on in Camden, but I don't know what to tell you. But I do know that, like I said,
I'm near Camden, but I'm in Lindenwood. But when I go to the Staples here, I've been to like I said, the Home Depot. You know, the all these places, even what's it called? Seacoast. They partnered up with FedEx and they don't have it. And I'm like, look, I'm tired of looking. And I've had my papers, I've had my proclamation and my correction, and I'm just waiting to find an envelope so that I don't have to bend. You know, I don't have to fold it.
Ever. You are the first.
I know, and people are telling me this, but I am not crazy. I've been everywhere, and people trying to make me think I'm crazy. I talk to other bays and stuff like that, and they say, "Oh, well, just go to the post office, or go here and go there." And I've been everywhere, and I cannot find an 8.5 by 14 where I can just stick it in an envelope, a legal envelope, and send it off.
The post office.
Get the 10. You gotta get the 10 by. I think you gotta get the 10 by 15. Like, ask them for the 10 by 15, because the envelope has to be bigger than the paper to fit in there.
And where?
For the paper
and who am I asking that?
Fools. I buy them all the time. I got a whole book of them. And I know you don't buy a whole book. They also sell them in individual packets of 5 or 6.
I don't care if I have to buy them in a box. Just give me something I can put this in and send it off. That's all I want. I'm not caring about the price at this point. Just give somebody tell me where I can get a 10 by 15, or 8 by 15, whatever.
Hey, how about this?
Please.
How about this? Did you try online?
No, I've even gone to Amazon, all of them. I'm looking, I'm trying to find, and I said to myself, why is it this?
You gotta be 10 by.
You gotta get them online. You can't get them online.
And what company can I go to online to get it?
Listen. You can just punch an 8.5 by 14 legal envelope, and believe me, you will come up with options on that one. However, it may not be 8.5 by 14. It might be 9 by 15 or 10 by 15. And
I've done it. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna punch in all that because I've done it all. I just want to send my papers off. I've been here with papers, and I'm ready to go. And you know what? Aside from that, because I will go with that. But now to seal my birth certificate. What is the best way to go about that once I get my papers back and my seal and all, and I want to seal my birth certificate because I know that's one thing I'm going to have to do.
Your birth certificate has nothing to do with your birthright at all. You sound like, oh my God, we've said this 1,000 times, but we'll say it again.
Oh, before you ask that,
I'm just starting out, so I'm sorry that I'm like in the beginning.
Oh no, it's all right. It's all right. You just want to know where you got that brilliant idea from.
Yes.
Oh well, because I know that. I'm hearing from, because again, this is my sovereign that I'm trying to get my birthright in order, and I know that when because I know a lot of bays, I know a lot of Moorish Americans, but they have nothing to tell you. You know what I mean? They, it's all about you and how you maneuver through this water.
The question is, where did you get the idea about doing anything with your birth certificate? That's the question that we ask.
Oh well, I just think that I was asking a few people, like once because in other words, you're still a ward of the state if you still have a birth certificate, isn't it? Isn't that true? Is that not true?
No.
So if I have a birth certificate,
no one can change your descent nature. No, the birth certificate is an instrument that proves human trafficking. So I wouldn't be wanting to authenticate it. I wouldn't be wanting to redeem it. That's all commercial jargon bullcrap that has nothing to do with your birthright. That's what I know. A lot of people have that out there, and what's so sad? Kuzo, like you had mentioned, there's some people just coming in 5 years ago, 5 months ago, and they're twisting this stuff and telling these people this stuff. They have no idea what they're doing. The birth certificate
they say seal your birth certificate, so that means you're not a ward of the state anymore. Is that true? Listen to me. Listen. The birth certificate was established
by a corporation not established by your mom. It's not a contract. It never was. And even if you go authenticated or so-called authenticated, you get an authenticated copy, which is not the original, because you're never going to get that. It's a bond. It proves human trafficking. So why would you authenticate that? Why would you try to redeem that? Unless you want to become a party to the fraud of the people who established it against living flesh and blood beings in the first place. It is proof of the human trafficking. And so whenever your nom de guerre, that quote-unquote name that you say is on that birth certificate, comes up and through the path of your life from the time that you now claim, you do something called ex-rel, meaning ex-relation, meaning you have information regarding action, but it's not you because it never was. So whoever is out is leading people down a wrong place and dealing with commerce. However, you can deal with commerce and all that if you want to, not that it's a bad thing or whatever, but the birth certificate is a bond against flesh and blood beings, which is proof of human trafficking, and you need to get into your proper person status, and then you can deal with whatever. But the birth certificate, that's like people say, how do you have, you're saying that they got jurisdiction over you because of the birth certificate, quote-unquote, contract, when it's not a contract. If you don't know what a contract is and the tenets of it, then you'll believe that's a contract, but it's not. But if we as a people knew contract and what a contract is and is not, we would recognize that we need to stop calling it a contract because it's not.
Once I proclaim my nationality and I correct my name and the fictitious name that I have, I don't have to use anymore. If I choose not to, I can use my corrected name.
That's right. Do all new business in your new name, not the old. That's correct. And then what? If you ask me, well, what do I do then? Just start being who it is you say you are, which is why we tell you to read those proclamations that you're trying to find that envelope for, and understand your position, because anything in written form but a brief that expresses your position regarding a matter, whatever that matter may be. So you made the proclamation, that proclamation that you try to get in, read and understand that. And then you just start being who it is you say you are, and know that no one can change your descent nature. And then understand what that certificate, because any certificate implies an exchange, and you can't have an exchange on human flesh and blood beings. That's called human trafficking. So that certificate.
I understand those terms, but as far as reading what I need to do once I proclaim my nationality, I'm not clear on. They're saying read this or read that. Read what?
Well, if you're not clear, don't do it yet. Don't do it until you're clear. However, at the same time, if you do nothing else, proclaim your nationality. You have to understand what that means, and it has nothing to do.
I understand that part, but I want to understand going forward that I am proclaiming my birthright, and I am a Aboriginal, and I'm indigenous to the land, Moroccan, and that part I understand all of that. But going forward, but after that, going forward, what should I be reading up on? Because you can go on what other people say, but where should I go from there? I'm an Aboriginal. That means first, I'm indigenous to the land because of my ancestors. I want to adhere to being obedient to my forefathers and my foremothers. And I want to take back my birthright and my wealth that was taken from my ancestors. It says it's mine, and the land.
Look at it. Look at it from from a more metaphysical perspective, right? If you're saying that you're all those things, right?
Yeah.
and then you say you're gonna claim my birth certificate, you just voided all those things that you said that you know.
True.
Like automatically. Right. So now you have to start from scratch. You can't pretend that you know now. You have to go back to the beginning now, because you just voided everything.
Right.
So
and I understood.
You know, this is why. Yeah, this is why. You know, we're saying.
In other words, you have to stand on your square, and there is a quiet period. You know, I
don't
know
do a quiet period. If you think that you're gonna stand on your square just because of these papers said, or this card said, or this plate said, or whatever, then clearly you're not there yet. You know, like okay, for example, those same papers that you're trying to find an envelope for. How much times did you read those papers?
I read them over, and the understanding.
How much time though?
A few hours.
If you put a number, if you could put a number on it, how much times did you read page 1 to page whatever the last page is, and then go back to page 1 again, and read it again?
Not long. I got the understanding by reading through it. But I need to read through it.
There's a deeper understanding that you're gonna get every single time you read it.
Okay. And
that's why they say that's why, you know, like when you look at the guy who can kick the ball and curve it into the net. He didn't do that once and get that.
So I have to keep on reading it for more understanding. In other words, the understanding will come clearer and clearer the more that I read over the material and get a better, you know, the understanding will come better and better by and by.
Right. Reading. But at the same time, as you're going over it, like we were saying earlier, you're also exercising the demons that have been in you. And I mean, and when I say, I'm not just saying that just to sound, you know what I mean? I'm just being serious. Demons in you. Truth makes demons run, especially the demons within, which are the biggest demons out there. Forget the demons that we think are demons. The real demons are the ones within. Right? The ones that when you think you got this, and then that highwayman comes up or whatever like that, and then some nigger stuff comes out your mouth that you weren't even expecting that to come out.
Right. But one thing I can say, I've been sincere and I've been reading, and I tell you what, stuff has been coming out of my mouth that has never come out of my mouth before, in the understanding of who I am, and it's starting to really resonate outward. I don't know how it's coming out, but it's coming out to a way where I was talking to people on my job, and they were talking about the you know, in Philly we have that Mummers Parade, and I said, are they mocking Moors? And I shut them down. I shut them right down because they understood what I was saying. You know, and they tried to walk around it, but they knew exactly what I meant, and they showed me that they knew exactly what I meant because they couldn't come back with anything.
That's correct.
So, you know, I am learning how to speak and change it. I don't use the word belief anymore. I use terms that, you know, represent who I am and what I mean. You know what I mean? I'm standing firm. You know, I'm not bowing down. I'm not under anybody. I know that I am. You know, the original.
But But again, look at how long you've not been doing that compared to how long you've been doing that. There's a big discrepancy.
Right.
So you have to put in the same amount of time that we put in to be dumb niggers. We need to put in to be more. Like, you can't put in a quarter of the time as Moors, you know what I mean, and think that we did it.
No.
Because it's only gonna, it's just like it's an ongoing thing. It's just like training. You know what I mean? Like if you're not gonna train today and not train
and forget tomorrow.
when the event is coming up in a week, you're gonna tone down your training. Your training should accelerate.
Yes. And that's what I feel.
But it's a process. It's a process. We're all in a different place, and this is where it comes in again to Noble Jwali saying that, when you can't find out what to study and all that stuff, study yourself. Because everybody's in a different place with regard to this. And not everybody you're going to be able to look at and say, oh, they did that. Oh, I'm going to just implement that. And because it happened for them, it's going to happen for me. No, it doesn't really work like that.
No. And I don't see it that way. I see it in a true way. I see that, my learning, my knowledge and is starting to open up to me in a way that has never opened up to me before, and I'm able to speak in a respectable way, because I'm a righteous, just person, and I'm back in a place where I want to be, and I'm able to respect people and speak in a way that they have to respect me. And that's a beautiful thing for me. That's freedom for me, because, I'm not disrespecting them, but I'm putting them in their place as I go along. And I feel good about that, because I'm not afraid, I'm not fearful, and I'm not backing down, but I'm being very respectful, and I'm respecting them, and I'm looking for them to give me respect for who I am. I am. And Allah. Now, A-L is all, right? Is that how it's pronounced? All.
Are you talking?
Yeah.
You talking about
the A-L? They pronounce it all, Allah. Correct.
Well,
now,
are you talking
about
RVBey and all?
Is that when people use al, A-L, and then Bey, is that they're saying their religion?
No, that's a title. The five titles to the ancestral estate. You're talking about L. There's Al, L, E-L, and then there's A-L.
A-L.
Okay, and Day, and then Bey, and there's
some people use
Ali.
A-L, Bey. Some people use E-L, Bey. And some people just use Ali.
What do you really? That's an extremely exalted title. See, listen, those are to be acquired really by degree or like family culture, as the other brother had called in on. And we have to first, just like you said, you're coming into this, so we have to first fundamentally be L's and B's, lawmakers and law enforcers. Yeah, and then those are assigned or acquired by degree, and I mean they use that same function in even their little school systems when you acquire something by your degree, and even in your master's degree. You could go to school, get a master's degree in your further education, and you're not going to receive that actual degree until you write a dissertation, regardless of whether you got all great grades and didn't miss a day, and if you don't write that because in order to change the people, you have to change the literature. So you attain that by degrees. You attain these other positions based in the mastering of what you do. We are fundamentally, however, convey. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we need
if I use RVBey, will that be? I mean, putting it a stretch, being that I'm beginning into my studies and all, because I just have my name change plus Bay.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
all right.
That's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now when I send it off, I'm sending it to the address. What is the state that I'm sending it to?
Okay. Did you go on the site on the National Identification Card page?
No, I went on Moorish.com and I printed out the papers.
All right.
And they gave me the address and all.
And it's nice. It's really good for Jonathan from the MoorishDirectory.com to perpetuate that for us and everything. But what ends up happening, and I'm going to send him something so that he can also direct when you go on there. He can also direct you to go to the page, put a link there, because in Section 13 of the National Identification Card page are all the directions, and people are missing them because they're getting it from another site. So thanks for reminding me, I got to send him that so that he can put a link so that they get the information and you would know. So go to the National Identification Card page of the RVBey Publications website. Just write down the Section 13, upper left-hand corner, you'll see the little ghost numbers, 13, 10, 11. And right there are instructions on 13.1.
Well, I have the instructions here. It says the Moorish National Republic. I have to send this.
Not to me. No. See, this is what I'm trying to say to you. You have instructions from the MoorishDirectory.com, and I need to check with him and make sure that he has a link to every person that he is absolutely recommending back to our site, because the directions are on the site, not on the MoorishDirectory.com, unless I send them to him or ask him to include them with the link, because then it's good that he's doing that. We absolutely appreciate that, but then the people aren't following the directions for the instructions unless they're also included on there. So I want to make sure.
This is also included here. I also have Moorish National Identification Card form.
I know, but I'm talking. Okay, sis, what I'm trying to say to you is, do they have on there step 1 through 8 on processes of the proclamation? It tells you what not to do, what to do, what not to do, what to do. Do not do this, do not do that. Do this, do that. I don't know that those instructions are on the Moorish Directory.
It's not, because I just have the name declaration, and it gives you an example of it. What to fill out.
That's great. Hey, I'm going to contact him and make sure he puts a link that goes directly to those directions, because it tells you where to send it. The mailing location is.
Can you tell me is this where I'm sending it? Because I have the directions here. It tells me where to send it out at. It tells me where to send it out. Okay.
Where did you tell you?
Right.
All
right.
Tell you to send
it right here.
Okay.
Okay. It says it here. It says send. I have to send this copy with it. It says send it to the Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, 141 Western Street.
Okay, got it. Okay, so he added that on there.
1145 Hartford, Connecticut, 06143.
That's it.
That's it?
8, yes, listen, there are 8 instructions also on the RVBey website. that goes along with it to answer some of the questions that you might have about that, along with, of course, where to mix. But it also tells you do not use blue ink, do not do this, do not do that, or whatever.
But see, that's another thing he told me. See, because I don't have a free nationalist in my area, so he said just put a sticky pad and state that for my witnesses, because I have no national, no free nationalists in my area. So I called him and he said, well, just put a sticky on there and let them know that there's not a free nationalist in your area, and then they can witness the 2 witness spots for the then the main declaration and the and is that right?
That sounds great, but here's what I'm going to tell you to do also.
And he said sign it in red ink. Sign my signature in red ink.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you, here's what I'm going to tell you also right now.
You're breaking up, so that's why I can't hardly understand. Okay. All right, go ahead.
To tell you to also go to the RVBey Publications National.
Wait a minute, take it slow. RVBey.
This is the problem. The instructions that you need additionally are on RVBey Publication, RVBeypublications.com. Go to the National
Publications.
So I got to get
Look,
listen,
get
RVBeypublications.com.
Go to the National Identification Card page.
National Identification. Okay.
It's going to say National Identification. It's got to say National Identification and Proclamation page. That's what it's actually going to say on the left-hand side. Then go to Section 13, which is proclamations, and you will see further instructions that might answer some other questions that you might have. And then, of course, you said the National ID form is also at the very bottom of that same page, but you already have it. But there's also instructions there. All right,
and I'm supposed to send this form with me, with my other forms. This National Moorish National Republic.
Yes, sis. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You are supposed to send that so they can contact you if they need to. But what I'm telling you is to go to that page, and everything that you're supposed to do is there. That's what I'm trying to tell you to do now.
Okay, so the National, I got it. The National Identification and Proclamation page.
Yes, Section 13 gives you the instructions for the proclamation. At the very, very bottom of that same page will give you the form for the National ID card, which you already have, and all the instructions for it are on that form itself, and where to mail it to because it's a different location. All right?
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, the National Identification card, they say is a different address and all that. Yeah, they said only send the update, the proclamation and the name to one place.
Go. I gotta let you go. I'm telling you where to go, so that any questions you have.
Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000